Busy in the head. I am stretched at your grave. The body is not at rest. It is in a state of perpetual tension, a membrane pulled taut between the mineral silence below and the screaming biosphere above. This is not mourning. It is a physical law. The grave is a sinkhole for meaning, and the self is the event horizon, infinitely distended, feeling the pull of the void where a consciousness used to be. The geometry of this position is both explicit and sacred. Leprechauns and unicorns dance around your corpse. Observation. The rituals of death are inherently absurd. The psyche, unable to process the raw fact of decay, projects a carnival of kitsch onto it. These are not gentle guardians, but garish, mocking specters. They represent the failure of solemnity, the mind's desperate, ironic pageant to make the grotesque somehow legible. The dance is a metabolic process, converting grief into something brightly colored and nonsensical. Lane switching. I'm a full-fledged lesbian. A clean break, a definitive vector. The previous road was a recording, a consensus reality broadcast on a loop. The switch is not a turn, but a translation into a truer frequency. The static of compulsory performance resolves into a pure, unambiguous signal. There is no ambiguity in this new lane, only the open road of a confirmed desire. How to repress homoerotic thoughts with alcohol. They get more exotic. The proposed solution is the problem's catalyst. Alcohol is not a suppressant, but a refinery. It strips the thoughts of their mundane context, boiling them down to their essential esoteric oils. What was a simple glance becomes a hieroglyph. A passing touch becomes a law ceremonial language. The repression chamber is, in fact, an alchemical workshop where base attractions are transmuted into golden, intricate, and far more potent obsessions. Busy in the head. There is a factory. It operates on a closed loop. The raw materials are fear, memory, and fragmented media. The output is a continuous, low-grade panic. There are no workers, only the machinery of self, running, always running, with no product and no off switch. Call me your slave. I'm African American. A title loaded with historical weight, recontextualized through a lens of power and submission. It is an exploration of the vessel where legacy and desire meet. To claim the name is to examine the container itself, the body as an archive of inherited trauma and a site of personal, explicit reclamation. The exoticism is in the dangerous, eye-opening fusion of historical narrative and intimate role. Niggy Tardust was onto something. Shout out to Saul Williams. The concept is the future primitive, a shamanistic punk rock interface with the digital sublime. It's the understanding that identity is a costume you can shed and reskin, that the self is a performance so authentic it becomes a new kind of truth. Tardust was the blueprint for the post-human prophet, using noise and poetry to short-circuit the mainframe of expectation. Knots and tangles, loose screws in the noggin. The internal structure is not sound. The wiring is a bird's nest. Thoughts snag and catch, forming impossible configurations. There is a screw loose, and it rattles with every motion, a tiny percussive reminder of the fundamental instability within the casing. The system was never built to code. I'm finessing my outer of space prison. The prison is a planet, a body, a circumstance. The finessing is the slow, meticulous work of carving out autonomy within absolute confinement. It is the retrospective art of finding the levers and pressure points within a closed system. This is not about escape, but about becoming the warden of your own incarceration, learning the secrets of the walls until they become an instrument. My bloody, bleeding vag. Females uniting, intertwined menstrual cycles, a proposed biological network, a satellite dish of flesh tuned to a lunar frequency. The bleeding is not a failure, but a reset, a shared purge. When cycles intertwine, it creates a biolibidinal field, a low-frequency resonance that sinks the inhabitants of a space into a single throbbing organism. It is esoterically exotic, a space-age concept built on the oldest, wettest code. While I lay resting on your grave, fish eyes are not good for 2020. A return to the grave. The perspective is from the earth, looking up with a dead, flat vision. Fish eyes see everything and nothing, a distorted panoramic view of a world that has moved on. The rest is not peaceful. It is the stillness of a corrupted sensor, receiving data it can no longer process. Uterus cramps, missing Martha, Alcoholics Anonymous. 2 types of emptiness. One is a violent internal fist, a physical reminder of potential that will not be realized. The other is a hollowed out space where a person used to be, filled only with the chemical substitute for connection. The body archives its grief in different ways, one as a sharp, recurring pain, the other as a perpetual, thirsty absence. Critically analyze the life structure. The life structure is a nonsensical blueprint for a building that is already on fire. We are following instructions for a load-bearing wall that was never installed. The analysis reveals the absurdity, a creature obsessed with narrative, trapped in a chaotic system with no discernible author, desperately trying to write its own stage directions in real time. Universe, give me all your mysteries and symbolisms. Universe, 2 fish in a sea full of vengeance. An invocation, a demand for the cosmic operating manual. The symbol of 2 fish, passive, flowing in a sea of active malice, is the core paradox. It is a plea for meaning in a system that seems to operate on conflict. The exotic truth is that the mysteries are not hidden. They are written in the language of predation and symbiosis, and we are both the fish and the sea. I'm optimistic about the end of my life. I'm wishing all the bodies a farewell. The final optimism is the relief of silence, the end of the broadcast. The farewell to the bodies is a disconnection from the fleshy, failing machinery. It is a clean, quiet hope for the cessation of the constant, low-grade torture of being a sentient creature in a world of decay. My energy and soul was in the Jupiterian realm. The Venus realm held my comfortable accessories, a retro-introspective astral map. The Jupiterian realm is the space of expansion, philosophy, and the massive, gaseous, ungrounded soul. The Venus realm is not love, but the aesthetics of it, the comfortable accessories of attraction, the soft fabrics and pleasing surfaces. This is the internal schism, the self as a giant, stormy planet of thought, orbiting a star of mere sensual comfort. I believe in past life karma because my life is overwhelming. I believe in endless, non-stop reincarnation. These are not comforts, they are horrors. The belief in past life karma is the only framework vast enough to justify the sheer volume of present suffering. Endless reincarnation is not a spiritual promise, it is the ultimate sentence, a fatalist proof that the noise, the pain, the busyness in the head is not a single event, but an eternal return. Babies are born every second. Bodies are dying every second. The planet's most basic relentless rhythm, the intake and exhaust of a breathing biosphere. This is the engine of the world, the turning process that powers everything from love songs to wars. It is neither beautiful nor tragic. It is the metabolic rate of the species, a wave we are all riding until we crash back into the shore. Yes, I'm a fatalist mortal. Acknowledgement of terms and conditions. The hardware is flawed and has a fixed expiration date. The software is buggy and influenced by unseen forces. To be a fatalist mortal is to stop fighting the programming and simply watch the sequence of errors until the system finally blessedly shuts down. We are overpopulated. The final explicit absurd diagnosis, the problem is not a lack of resources, but a surplus of consciousness. There are too many stories, too many graves, too many stretched membranes, too many synced cycles, too many knots and tangles competing for bandwidth. The exotic truth is that we are not bodies occupying space, but signals jamming each other in a frantic, chaotic, and ultimately unsustainable broadcast. We are overpopulated.